Of your breakfast show on leadership television inside Nigeria. My name is Unifodobebo on this set of the program, and today on this first segment of the show, as we normally do, we like to review some front headline stories of some select newspapers, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. Let's go with leadership and see their leading story today, October 9, 2024. Leadership's leading story says market forces petrol price may hit 1,100 naira per litre. Market forces petrol price may hit 1,100 naira per litre as NNPCL adjusts pump price after quitting of taker role. Nigerians to pay additional 200 naira above NNPCL's official 897 naira price. The leading story today on leadership. Market forces petrol price may hit 1,100 naira per litre. Beside our 2024 Hajj, we are not owing tour operators 17 billion naira NECON. We have reduced revenue bleeding. Tinubu. Man throws 16-year-old girl in well after rape. The story is on page 7 of leadership. Man throws 16-year-old girl in well after rape. No plan to relocate northern IDPs to southeast. We moved gradually to the stories just beneath the masthead. Blame Fubara supporters for Rivers crisis. Wike. Blame Fubara supporters for Rivers crisis. Wike. And on the business bus, we have Nigeria's capital inflow grows by 176.85% to $6 billion in 6 months. That takes us to the stories above the masthead. Court affirms Abure as Labour Party national chairman. We are restoring sanity to Kwara, Abdulrazak replies Sharaki. And that concludes the review front headline stories on leadership as we move to the page 3 where we have our stand. Today's stand is on End the Carnage. End the Carnage. Talking about the war currently brewing, no, not brewing, actually the war playing out in the Middle East. And the carnage, that's what today's stand is all about. And from our stand, page 3, we move over to the back page where we have Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa. She's writing on, is Nigeria ready for artificial intelligence, that's AI? What a question. This you have to find answer to when you log on. However, the quote says, open quote, Nigeria stands at a critical junction in its technological journey where the integration of artificial intelligence into various sectors can significantly transform the nation's socio-economic landscape. End quote. With that, we also conclude that review of back page today, Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa, and as a whole leadership newspaper. For more, log on to the website www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we move over to Vanguard newspaper, or rather, let's go with Punch newspaper because Punch also has similar story on oil. The Punch leading story says marketers to begin direct Dangote petrol purchase. New pump price looms as national oil firm moves to dump 99 billion naira monthly subsidy. Same story couched in different language from with that of leadership. Marketers to begin direct Dangote petrol purchase. New pump price looms as national oil firm moves to dump 99 billion naira monthly subsidy. Leading story today on the Punch. FDI crashes to record low of $29.8 million. That is foreign direct investment. Crashes to record low of $29.8 million. NEWA donates safety kits to Niger boat operators. Beneath the main headline story and also the photo on the Punch, we have South Korean investors planning for Nigerian refineries. Federal government. Police hunt alleged killers of Niger man over phone. Federal government 31-member panel to begin talks with ASU. Beside the masthead of the Punch, federal government shots for permanent secretaries from 8 states. And above the masthead of the Punch, violence. Fubara orders probe. Wike alleges disobedience to court orders. Stop crude for loan deals, Dangote tells government. Stop crude for loan deals, Dangote tells government. OT fashion loses as court declares Abure Labour Party chair. That concludes review of front headline stories today on The Punch. For more, log on to the website or The Punch newspaper. From The Punch, we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard says Ason oil output in rivers threatened if that question is left hanging. There, of course, is something you have to find answers to when you read more on that story coming from Fubara. And the writer says Fubara, architect of rivers crisis, Wiki, says Asonis will account for certain local government headquarters ablaze. Vast corporates will be fished out. Swears in BP, 3 others as commissioners. Rivers government constitutes 7-man judicial commission into Asonis attacks. Decries governor's penchant for disobeying court orders. Said to challenge judicial panel of inquiry. Main headline story today on Vanguard. Ason oil output in rivers threatened if, according to Fubara. And underneath that, we have the newly elected governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, in meeting with the Oba of Benin. Edo State Governor-elect Senator Monday Okpebholo, right, presenting certificate of return to Omonoba Nejo Ukwu-Akpolokpolo Ewuare 2, CFR Oba of Benin. That is the picture on the cover of Vanguard. And underneath that, we have 45 die of cholera in Kano. Untold reasons Bello Tuji is asking for negotiations. Of course, you have to find out the reasons. Court orders INEC to recognize Abure as Labour Party's national chairman. Flooding, Dread Rivers, Niger, Benue now. Senator Tinubu. And beside that, photo caption, 2 soldiers, village head son, others killed in Boko Haram ambush. Kwara governor to Saraki, we are sanitizing state, your gang messed up. And in sport, AFCON 2025 qualifier, Eguavoen upbeat Super Eagles will beat Libya. That takes us to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. CBN assures public on financial system stability, safety of funds. Underneath that, Edo Guba, again INEC denies PDP, Irodalo access to beavers, other poll items, state government. Dangote says Nigeria can become refining hub. Local airlines to buy jet fuel only from Dangote refinery. Federal government. While government keep 5 in Anambra community. That concludes the review of front headline stories today on Vanguard newspaper, and also concludes the first half of today's Inside Nigeria. We have the second half coming in with our guest shortly. Don't go away. Stay tuned for the second half of the program.
Leadership TV for God and country. Leadership TV for God and country. Leadership TV for God and country.
Okay, you're welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, broadcast from Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Global, and I have my midweek guest today in the studio. Is a public affairs analyst, Kevin Fineface.
Thank you.
Good morning, welcome to the program. Yes, where do we start from? Let's start with Nigeria's leading newspaper, Leadership. Leadership's main headline story, just like what the Punch reported today, says market forces petrol price may hit 1,100 naira per litre, as NNPC said it was quitting his role as off-taker role, and they can no longer subsidize fuel at 99 billion naira monthly. And Nigerians are going to be paying more for fuel in the long run. Leadership says 1,100 naira. What is the ripple effect on that?
Of course, transport is the main driver of the economy. So once fuel price goes up, then you expect that transport fares will go up. And once transport fares goes up, then you expect goods and services to go up. Because, I mean, workers pay transport to office. Farmers have to transport their goods, their produce, to the markets. Everything we do is driven by energy. And so for this type of energy that we're looking at, which is PMS, if the government says they're no longer going to be subsidizing that, then of course they should be ready for not only hyperinflation, but super hyperinflation that will take place. Because it will trickle down. There's a value share when it comes to inflation or cost of things. And I think the government on the part is not sincere when it comes to this work that we're reading from the news. You're selling crude to Dangote refineries. You have 4 refineries that should have by now
exactly. I was going to come that because during his inauguration, President Bola Tinubu gave December, that was last year, during his inauguration, he gave December last year, 2023, as deadline for rehabilitation of
those are buzzwords,
and they keep shifting the
buzzwords. What I think is just words used to try to assuage the mind of the people, so as people not to react. When hope is one thing that is sold effectively in this country.
Yes,
all of the religious bodies sell hope to their faithfuls, and so they look forward to that opportunity to make heaven or whatever it is that they're expecting. So politicians have also come to realize that if you sell hope, the people will be calm to wait through the process. Ordinarily, when Tinubu made that pronouncement that subsidy was gone, without thinking through the ripple effect of such words, when he has not made provision for the refineries to be functional, when he has not made provision for other subsidies that should be able to cushion the effect. America subsidized agriculture heavily. They subsidize power.
Yes.
Yeah, they subsidize it because if you generate your own energy, the government has a way to give you some money back to put it to the system. So Nigeria do not have any excuse. Government do not have any excuse. They cannot, because of their irresponsibility, and make the people to suffer gravely as a result of the irresponsibility. So what they needed to do is to cushion the effect. Today, dollar is going for 1,700 and above, and it's running. It's running towards 2,000. On a serious free fall. Why is it so? We are not exporting as much as we are importing. So there's so much demand in terms of imports, which make demand of forex. A few years ago, I'd actually suggested to the government in one of my, not one, a few times I've actually had the privileges to be on air, and also written to CBS some time ago, that they needed to be able to have a line of credit with countries that Nigeria heavily goes to import from: China, Turkey, US, UK, and a few other, Asian countries that we heavily import from. What we needed to do is simply open a line of credit and give the businessmen and women those vouchers that they can travel with, instead of going to change naira to dollar to the country of interest. If they're going to China now, the Nigerians have to change naira to dollar. Then when they get to China, they have to change dollar to renminbi or yuan, that they need to use. That's in itself had given us about
They're going
15 to
Europe,
20%
they
losses.
buy euro.
They buy euro. When they get there, you cannot spend dollar in South Africa. You have to go change it to rand. But for you to travel now, you have to get dollar first and get there. So we're losing as a result of that, which at the end of the day for business people goes back to cost of goods and services. So if government needed to do good business, we say we're doing currency swap with China, but nothing has actually come out of it. Why? Because
But they were making effort towards that during former President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure.
no, even
So
before
have
Jonathan's tenure, it was
yes,
when it all
currency
started.
swap.
I mean, that was when I even made that suggestions. During Buhari's time, they did that. It is simply for the fact that some people are benefiting heavily from this rot. Nothing stops us implementing the currency swap, even with the lira in terms of Turkey. We don't have so much of import from US, except of course governmental import. But for individuals, most times you go to China or they go to Turkey. Most of the things we buy, they bring it to this place. So why wouldn't you have such kind of currency swap with them? All they needed to be sure that you have the currency deposited as a country. Then the B2B business, they communicate and country to country, they do, and they check their books and they pay each other. But what have they done? They basically have made it difficult for manufacturers to have access to dollar, and it's a business also have access to. They are buying from the third market, the tertiary market. That's where business people are buying dollars from. Most business people buy from third market because the bank sells to the middleman sells to the black market, and black market sells to now the business people. So the cost of funds has increased, thereby resulting to the cost of goods and services. And once goods and services have increased, what happens next is simply the fact that you see a people who now begin to be burdened because they're not able to meet up with their basic needs
Yes.
in the society. So if we bring down the price of fuel, and how do we do that? It's simple. Get our refineries functional. First and first. Because if our refineries are functional, the next thing we want to do is for government to resurrect public transport system. People do not need to travel with their cars, to use their cars to the offices. All they need to use the public service. If the public transport system is functional, most people will park their cars and use public transport system. Now, once we reduce the need for petrol, the price of petrol begins to fall down also. It means that there will be high demand for that, and having a few persons struggling to want to do the business, thereby denying everybody the opportunity to want to make the business. Government said they are taking their hands off of Dangote's bulk purchase agreement, and they want a life for free market. Which is more like the deregulatory thing that we're doing. Food deregulation is good, but before you do that, what are the transitory methods you're putting in place to ensure the people do not need to suffer based on the fact that you only just recently increased salary to 70,000 naira, which is not implemented yet. People are struggling and trying to survive, and not anyone. So you're doing staggered approach in the increment. Private sectors have not increased to 70, even though you're threatening them that it's against the law if they don't pay 70. How would they pay 70 when they're not getting that 70? So everybody is just managing the economy the way they can, and so that's why you see there is high rates in crime. There's high rates in quick get rich syndrome. People these days you have a lot of ritual killings because people want to make more money as a result of that. So you see, these things are connected. There's a whole ripple effect when it comes to these issues, and I think the people out there handling this economy don't need to be there for now.
Wow, this is but for beleaguered Nigerians, how are they going to cope with this impending increase? And this is also on the background that Dangote is telling government to stop crude for long days.
You see, the average individual has this tendency to survive, and Nigeria gradually will get into that state where it's more like a state of nature, where life is short and brute. So it's survival of the fittest. If you cannot survive the situation, then those who are stronger take you out. Have you not noticed now that landlords are increasing the rent as a result of the fact that there is that inflation? Prices of goods in markets have actually gone so high, so they are increasing their rent. Just last week I bought cement for 7,400. This week, last week again, by Friday it became 8,100 from 7,400 to X Factory. Now it's 8,000 plus. In Port Harcourt, I bought cement for 8,100 when cement was sold in Abuja for 7,400. Today it's 10,000 in Port Harcourt. So when you see such kind of situation, what happens? So landlord increase their rent to meet up with their own demand, their own need. Then the next thing that happens is that you now see it trickles down. Service providers have to increase the prices of goods and services. Now, because they increase, people will not buy as much as expected, so they will now have to reduce their purchasing power. So businesses will close. Businesses automatically begin to close. You see businesses shutting down because they can't meet up with expenses, costs. Power is going up because we solely depend majorly on, gas and the other, for energy. We do not have distributed energy generation system, which means that if you go to Borno, major part of the need of Borno should be solar-based energy. If you go to the south, we have from River State, it should not just be gas, but you also have the ocean that we can do, hydro and thermal, on one side. You can also do wind power, wind energy, because we can explore that from the southern region up to Lagos. We can just explore wind energy. We can do thermal, we can do hydro, we cannot do gas, because we have that deposit. If you travel from Enugu to Jos, you have close to 3 trillion tons of coal. Not even an ounce used for anything, which can generate power within the middle belt. If you use that coal, for instance, you can get coal turbines that are good with low emission of carbon monoxide, and you can power those regions. So if we do distributed energy generation, it means that it will now reduce the cost of production. If cost of production is reduced, what happens is that the prices of goods and services comes down automatically, thereby making it easy for people to live, that productive life that they should live. But they are not thinking.
Still on this PMS, that is otherwise known as a petrol issue that we are on. Now that everybody, even the federal government's state-owned NNPC and marketers, they are buying from Dangote. It's not creating a monopolistic situation now.
Well, monopoly is one thing that makes capitalism to thrive.
Yes.
We're not running a socialist economy. We're running a pseudo-capitalist economy, because you see government, subvention, all of that. Capitalist system of government only thrives where there is true liberalization. And a country like ours is supposed to be a federation, so every state is supposed to be functioning as according to their own capacity.
Yes.
Right? Generate your revenue and do whatever you want to do with the revenue. That we don't have that. We don't have physical federalism taking place currently. What we just have is that captured state by some conquerors who believe that this country belongs to them, dictate how things goes wrong. Employments are done basically on man, ethnic or religious sentiments. Doesn't follow merit. And you also have a situation where
we don't have federal character commission.
No, the commission is only there for the purpose of constitutional convenience. They don't function as much as we saw that during Buhari's time. How it was all these appointment were basically ethnic based. We are seeing that currently with this current administration.
Some agencies too, like DSS, where we were told that it was a community. They recruited so many people.
Yeah, that was what the last DG did.
Yes, DG.
Which was
nothing happened about.
I think the current DG, I must give him kudos. I mean, I have my ears there. As I'm seeing changes taking place, trying to correct the wrong. And this is one fantastic, fine officer that I think we all need the support to give to. What the previous administration did was something not to write home about. It's one of the worst things that happened to this country. Once your security architecture is compromised based on ethnic religious sentiment, it means that you not give room for either anarchy to take place or anarchy and a type of carry-go mentality where people don't even care, don't even bother about anything. Professionalism is key when it comes to security. That's the only way you can actually contain, anticipated threats. Or else you have a country that you cannot actually live peacefully in. So I give it to the current DG. It's doing so well.
Thank you so much. Now we are moving back to your state, River State. A lot has happened since on Monday. We saw the local government elections taking place, despite a court order. And then Monday, after they were sworn in on Sunday, we saw ASO taking place with some local governments set ablaze. In fact, one of the dailies yesterday titled it Wide Rivers.
Well,
what is happening there.
well, it's. I mean,
It's
it's
a
not,
battle of which, of course, everybody's out in the open. But can't there peace reign? Because there have been so many attempts to call a truce between the governor and his erstwhile godfather.
Yeah, I think if we
FCT.
were to be sincere, and if he needs to go back to his own words, I mean, we have them on social media. How he has also berated those who do not respect the governor, berated Amechi for serving 8 years speaker, as 8 years governor, and still trying to dictate what happens in the state. Now doing the same thing, and I expect that he will not get the same, resistance he gave to the previous administration when he was the governor. It's all time for one thing: selfishness and lack of respect for constitutional authority. Irrespective of who you are, if your son or your son decides to carry a masquerade, for an instance, given an analogy, as a mother, you know that the masquerade that son is carrying is a spirit that needs to be respected. So even when you know that it's your son, you don't go and relate with him like your son, or else you'll be flogged, because the spirit of that masquerade will flog you if you don't run when you see the masquerade. So when you don't show respect to the masquerade, be ready to be flogged or humiliated by the masquerade. That's what's happening. Wike is only trying to eat his cake to want to have it back, and as a result of that,
he still has a lot of supporters in the state, going by what happened.
No, a lot of supporters. No, it's a handful.
Government could be set on ablaze.
Those arsons that took place, in those places, were pockets of show of loyalty to Wike. It's not sustainable. That's just the truth. And I bet you those people who are responsible, most of them will be picked, because they are known. There are videos of them carrying out those actions. They are known. Wike only came up recently to say he wants to condemn, if there are his people, he wants to condemn it, but that the governor
defied the
court order and brought anarchy to the state, forgetting that the governor also had a court judgment mandating them to go ahead with the elections. That's one. Two, the government that Wike is relying on never said the election should not hold. The judgment says police and INEC shouldn't give support.
They should not give them a voter register.
The judgment did not say do not hold. Election must not hold. That judgment did not say that.
But it was just going about in the round way, because if INEC does not give voter register, the court expects that if no such thing is done, if the others are, then the election will not.
No, the court should not anticipate outcome without pronouncement. That's just the truth. The judgment says, action without pronouncement. The court says the police, INEC. Now INEC had already given,
unknown to the court, that it had already given,
because
the police wanted to go and cut away.
Because there was a request for it. Because there was a request for it, right? And the commission obeyed that request. When they got the judgment, it was more like a late issue. They cannot retrieve that which has already been given. And so what is simply needed now, what they needed to do, was the parties to go back to the court to say, please help us to explain what you just said now, and not try to want to go resort to self-help. Police is quick to want to interpret because of personal interest. As a result of the connections. We have a country where those at the ends of affairs oftentimes tend to pledge their loyalty to either the president or the governor, which is wrong. The IGP's loyalty is nothing but to the nation. He is to work with the president, not for the president. The president is the commander-in-chief, no doubt about it, but he's not supposed to. He's supposed to follow the law and not to be partisan in any way, not to be seen to be partisan. And so if the IGP was quick to want to, respond to judgment, we should have seen that in other judgments where they've been asked to release, in quotes, suspects or whatever the people they picked, and they've not released. They don't respect court orders.
We still have a hashtag against bank governors protesters.
Inside their custody, not even to the courts. They've been with them. Those people who said, what they call it, NSAS. There are those who said end bank governors. They're still there. After how many years? 4 years? 2020?
Yes, 2020.
They are still there with the police in the cell. Some of them have been killed extrajudicially. From reports that we've seen on social and real media. So what are we not saying? Now what I'm trying to buttress here is simple. Rivers State is a peace-loving state. The unfortunate thing is that, for me, as a Rivers man, is that we have two people. One of them currently is Cam, which is Amechi, who I call ingrates, especially Nawike, who fail to understand that the state had given him everything you can think of, made him who he is. Wike was one of those who worked at the motor parks, managing the motor parks. Let me use a more glorified words for it. Being able to go through the process to become a local government chairman, chief of staff to the governor, and minister and governor, and is behaving like this. Today, you go to River State, he has almost all the lands amassed to himself. As we have seen, we've seen cases, all of those things, and such a man is trying to create chaos in the state, forgetting that he has his own businesses in the state that can be touched by people who are aggrieved. People have given him so much that he has school, he has supermarket, he has all those things. So he should be able to at least allow the state to breathe. If the man he brought into power is not yielding to his dictates, all he simply needs to do is to go back to the trenches and replan on how to move him out of that place and bring another person to come in. In the first place, what right does he have to begin to decide who goes there? This is what happens. They don't learn. They tend to want to become godfathers and end up having issues. We've seen that happen. The only man who has succeeded in sustaining his godfatherism in opposition is the man who called himself the Lion of Babylon.
But that is just the first time.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the only person that has been able to.
Okay, the Lion of Babylon. Okay, sorry, I was confusing him with okay, you know who.
Yeah, so I mean, if you say Baba, you say that there's
the one that's
the one succeeded in sustaining that for 27 years, running.
Yes.
And
I agree with you.
And I mean, nobody has been able to say anything.
I know he's the president of the federation.
Oh, okay, he's the current president of the federation. So I mean, and that's the thing. So we need to be able to understand, but he has been able to survive it because at some point he also realized that when he wanted to remove Fashola, he saw that he was going to do this completely.
Oh yes.
And so he had to quickly adjust and align immediately so he doesn't lose that.
Fashola, Lagos said no, they needed a Christian this time, and he also gave them a body.
So the thing is just moving away. He understands the game, but this man is becoming too tight-fisted. And when you are too tight-fisted, what happens is either you lose your hand or you lose your fingers. So he needs to understand how to relax. That he has lost it. He should count his losses and allow the state to breathe. For the governor currently, I think I must give it to him for being able to stand out to speak, irrespective of how he came into a position of authority.
But however, I'm not speaking for the minister of the FCT, though, but he said that it was too sudden for the governor to want to now remove his structures.
No, it was not removal of structure. Let me tell you what happened. I was privy. When you talk about structure, it's simple. The continuous pillaging of the state's resources to service people he believes should do his bidding. This man gave him free hand to do almost all the appointments in the states, even to his own chief of staff. He did all the appointments. Now, how do you explain where your revenue is leaking as a governor? You want to be sure that this is not leaking. So the governor, being an accountant, decided to put control measures in place. And we can say, no, what you're doing is destroying the structure. Because he has people that is put on payroll that should be taking care of some things that not even matter to the state. And the governor wanted to do one or two jobs. At least let me do something that to show that my time here as a governor has some legacy to show for it. And he says, don't do it. So all of the different peace meetings they've got, the governor has always yielded to want to give him not a piece, a big pie of the state. Don't worry, yes, but we can say I want more. So you have a pie of 8 pieces, the big pie of 8 pieces, and we can want to take more than half of the 8 pieces. How does that work? That's where the problem is. That's the structure he's talking about.
That's always been the problem because we have the Amala politician then who said that he just asked for some what is that for him to be giving him the security vote and what is bad there?
What is bad there? That's
refused that he even use it to cook Amala, and even the governor comes.
Now look at it. Today we have a fantastic governor in Oyo State who wasn't brought in by anybody, by any godfather that is doing so well for the benefit of the state. I went to Oyo State just 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't believe the level of development that actually taking place in that state. Why free hand operation? We cannot continue to rely, and I also blame the citizens for allowing this demagogue of a godfather to be existing in any state. There shouldn't be any godfather in any state. Democracy is of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Yeah,
so
it's because
we should take ownership.
Electoral processes that brings them in. You know,
no, the electoral process. If you
we are
fail
fair
to,
ourselves, you know that elections in this country.
no, you know why elections are like that.
Not transparent.
Election from 1958, when we started getting to want to get into independence, to when we get 1960 independence, has never been free and fair. It has always been, one way or the other, rigged. People have not been involved in election per se until 2011, when people truly,
2011,
the level of involvement started coming into play.
And it also came because in last year, 2023, you saw many people coming in to register with INEC because they were
even voted. Let me tell you what happened. 2023 election was one of the freest and fairest elections conducted, but stolen by the commission. I make this boldly. I make this statement boldly. I was fully involved in the elections. I knew what I was also told. I was also threatened from the insider that what was going to come in. So it was stolen. That we need to get that clear. Nigerians voted for their choice, but their choice was stolen. So Nigerians should be, should not feel sad or should not blame the country to those who voted for the current. No, many Nigerians. This is the first time we have an unpopular president in power. This is the first time. This is the first time when the election results were announced, the lowest votes count to a particular candidate became the highest vote count in terms of announcing who the winner of the result. And so it's not me like saying it. The results are there.
Thank you so much. Now we are still looking ahead, talking about governors and their godfatherism. It's on the papers today, and that governors are battling EFCC, and towards this end, they've gone to Supreme Court, which actually will hear their case this month of October. I mean, it's bizarre.
But it's not bizarre. The thing is that the law needs to be tested. The law needs to be tested. When laws are either promulgated or bills are passed into laws, it's important we don't just look at those buzzwords, because what happens in this court, what I've discovered is that a lot of the time laws are basically copy, small edit and paste. That's why we're having issues. The ambiguity of the law is the problem of the country. And so
it has ambiguity, but people will always say that there's no law that is perfect anywhere in the world.
There's no law that is perfect, but see, there are laws that can be made in consideration of all of the options that will not give room for continuous contention in the courts. Why is it difficult for you to know that, okay, EFCC's act is this and this is what it's supposed to do? Why do we have immunity clause to protect the governors, and they do all the atrocities? And immediately
that is based on the constitution. It has nothing to do with EFCC.
No, that's the law. I'm saying that's the law.
That's the law, yes.
Why then when the governors leave in office,
you pick him up.
You pick him up, but you can't pick him up because there will be a perpetual injunction.
Yes.
Your
former governor.
Yes, not only him. Perpetual injunctions given everywhere. And they can't even go to prosecute them. So it simply means
somebody will steal the state blind and he's giving perpetual injunction. Don't go near him. Let him just enjoy his money.
So why is it so? Because there's a provision in the law that give such room. As I said, the ambiguity of the law is a problem of the country. So until we come to appreciate the fact that as a people we must have values that it transcends beyond political interest and ethnic and religious interest. Until we agree to see this thing as value based on moral grounds, we'll continue to be having issues. Because what happens in this country, for anything that goes through public space, it is viewed through ethnic or religious interests.
Yes.
Yaya Bello's case, with all of the findings, they've not been able to take him to court yet.
No.
The law, and you have lawyers who are defending him to try to, that tells you something. You have
the FCC chairman, if I may also come into, also goofed when during his press briefing, said he made attempts to call Yaya Bello, and Nigerians were like, no, wait a minute, you were even calling him. Do you call others that he should present himself? You know that.
Well,
gap
it shows.
or
It
that
shows.
gift
No, it shows.
exposed him
It
as
shows
a-
you the type of country that we're in and we're running. Nigeria is like a cobweb country. When one man steals, he spreads his stolen wealth to a few persons, so every hand is soiled.
Yeah.
So he said he made an attempt to call him. Do you show respect to a suspect in such a manner that you are calling? No.
Calling
You invite him, he fails to show up, then you
No,
go
it
to the
generated
court.
so much controversy.
When you invite him for the interest of interview, if he fails to show up, you go to the court to get a mandate. The problem we have in this country is that even governmental agencies will sup in.
And a man too that is even that has been declared wanted, he came in the company of the governor to your office, and you say he should go.
No, because
doesn't
there was
make
a
sense.
show. It didn't go to the office. Do you understand? It was a show. Following the governor, there's an immunity that covers the governor that the ex-governor, the former governor, was enjoying. Do you get? But unfortunately, also for those people in the position of authority, they did not take that capacity to say, "This is the person we want. It's not you." If you notice, those around the governor and the former governor, they are also security agents with them.
Yes.
They don't understand the law to know that this governor is wanted to hand him over to the authorities, or they are playing ethnic or religious card.
That's that.
I mean, that you need to also think about now, right? There are security agents with this man, police, DSS, and all of that, and even civil defense. The law says the EFCC said he's declared wanted. Are they not supposed to pick him up and bring him to the office? Why are they not doing that? That tells you what it means.
That tells you what it means. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the program, Kevin Fine Face, and that is where on this junction we bring to an end Inside Nigeria, your breakfast on Litre television. Of course, we've had the company of Kevin Fine Face since on the program, and I look forward to having you some other time too.
I will look forward to the what for nationwide development with I
Thank you
think
so
that
much.
name is not withheld.
Okay, so until we come your way same time next tomorrow for a fresh edition of the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.